Passwords and authentication. Passwords and authentication are the weakest security link in any network because authorized users are most difficult to secure and because it relies on people to be secure. This is where social engineering becomes a threat. Companies should take steps to address it. Passwords and authentication continued. A comprehensive password policy is critical that should include change regularly, require at least 6 characters, require complex passwords, passwords can't be common words, dictionary words, slang, jargon, or dialect, and passwords must not be identified with the user. It is most important to never write it down or store it online or in a file, and to not reveal it to anyone. Also use caution when logging on and limit reuse. However, do not make your policy so strict that it forces users to write down the passwords and defeating some of the most important password policy protections. Passwords and authentication continued. When configuring domain controllers, enforce password age, length, and complexity. Password policy aspects that can be enforced include the account lockout threshold that sets the number of failed logon attempts before that account is disabled temporarily, as well as the account lockout duration. That is a set period of time an account is locked out after a given number of failed logon attempts. Built-in Windows tools for identifying vulnerabilities. The Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer, or MBSA, is capable of checking for patches, security updates, configuration errors, and blank or weak passwords. Best practices for hardening Windows systems. A penetration tester finds and reports vulnerabilities, and a security tester finds vulnerabilities and then gives recommendations for correcting them. Patching systems. Upgrading the OS is the best way to keep systems secure and up to date to keep attackers from taking advantages of known vulnerabilities. This is why companies using XP should be updating to Windows 7 or 8. Options for small networks would be accessing Windows Update manually or configure automatic updates. However, for large networks, the Systems Management Server, or SMS, and the Windows Software Update Service, the WSUS, can handle downloading the patches once and then disseminating them throughout the network as required instead of every system needing to download them. There are also some third-party patch management solutions available as well. You can simply do a web search to find them. Antivirus solutions. Antivirus solution is essential for protecting any network since it is the desktop computers that usually access everything. For small networks, a simple desktop antivirus tool with automatic updates is sufficient. For large networks, these require a higher, and of course more expensive, corporate-level solution. Note that most desktop antivirus programs will not run on a server OS. However, ClamAV is an exception, but not a good solution for a total network antivirus protection. Antivirus tools are pretty much useless if not updated regularly. Enabling logging and review logs regularly. An important step for monitoring critical areas is to enable logging and review logs regularly to check for performance, traffic patterns, and to detect possible security breaches. Breaches can have a negative impact on performance, so it is important to regularly review any signs of intrusion or problems. Using a log monitoring tool would be beneficial to help sift through all of the collected data. Disable unused services and filtering ports. Disable unneeded services and delete unnecessary applications or scripts because unused applications are invitations for attacks, because an application often needs to punch a hole through security to operate through the network. Reducing the attack surface by opening only what needs to be opened and close everything else sounds simple, but this can be one of the most overlooked simple security measures that can better protect the network. Also, filter out unnecessary ports and make sure perimeter routers, which are routers that connect to an outside network, filter out ports 137 to 139 and 445. These are ports that provide information that are only needed on the inside of the network and not needed going out to the internet. Other security best practices. Other security practices include using TCP/IP filtering, delete unused scripts and sample applications, delete default hidden shares, use unique naming schemes and passwords, be careful of default permissions, use appropriate packet filtering techniques, use available tools to assess system security, and disable the guest account. You should also disable but not delete the administrator account once you create an account for each administrator individually. This helps hinder the attacker from trying to get into this primary account. Other security best practices continued. Other security best practices include renaming the default administrator account to make sure that there are no accounts with blank passwords, and use the Windows group policies to limit access based on group membership. Also, develop a comprehensive security awareness program and keep up with emerging threats through research. Staying up to date is important. Linux operating system vulnerabilities. Linux can be made more secure simply by having an awareness of vulnerabilities and to keep current on new releases and fixing. Many versions of Linux are available, differences ranging from slight to major. Therefore, it is important to understand basics such as run control and service configuration, understand the directory structure and file system, know some basic shell commands and scripting, and review effective package management for that version. Ignorance is not an excuse for allowing an attack to occur on your watch. Samba. Open source implementation of the Common Internet File System, or CFS. Samba allows the sharing of resources over a network. Security professionals should have basic knowledge of SMB and Samba because many companies have a mixed environment of Windows and Star-Nix systems. Samba is often used to trick Windows services into believing Star-Nix resources are Windows resources for better integration. Checking for Trojan programs. Despite the OS, most Trojan programs perform one or more of the following: allow remote administration of an attacked system, create a file server on the attacked computer where files can be loaded and downloaded, steal passwords from attacked system and then email them to the attacker, and to log keystrokes to email results or store them in a hidden file the attacker can remote access. Checking for Trojan programs continued. Linux Trojan programs are sometimes disguised as legitimate programs that contain program code that can wipe out file systems. These Trojans are becoming even more difficult to detect today, but protecting against identified Trojans becomes easier. Rootkits containing Trojan binary programs are even more dangerous, because then attackers can hide tools to perform further attacks, as well as have access to backdoor programs. More countermeasures against Linux attacks. Most critical tasks for countermeasures, again, attack on Linux, include user awareness training, keeping current with the threats, and configuring systems to improve security. User awareness training. Inform users on proper awareness of security. No information should be given to outsiders because knowing the OS makes attacks easier. Be suspicious of people asking questions and verify who they are talking to. Calling them back provides a contact method verification as well.